Please list the most famous people with their contributions in detail on AP Psychology. People. 1. Wilhelm Wundt, 1832–1920. Known as the father of psychology, Wundt was the first person to establish a psychology laboratory. He pioneered the use of introspection, a technique that involves careful self-observation and reporting of one's conscious experiences. His approach laid the groundwork for further psychological research. 2. Max Wertheimer, 1880–1943. A founding figure in Gestalt psychology, Wertheimer emphasized the importance of studying the whole rather than breaking it down into individual parts. He argued that the human mind perceives objects and events in their entirety, and that the whole is often greater than the sum of its parts. 3. Edward Titchner, 1867–1927. Titchner was a prominent advocate of structuralism, a school of thought that aimed to identify the basic elements of consciousness through introspection. His work helped to establish psychology as a scientific discipline, although his approach was later criticized for its subjective nature. 4. William James, 1842–1910. As a key figure in functionalism, James argued that psychological processes should be studied in terms of their adaptive functions. He believed that mental processes evolved to help organisms adapt to their environments, and this perspective has influenced the development of evolutionary psychology. 5. John Watson, 1878–1958. Watson was a pioneer in behaviorism, an approach that emphasizes the study of observable behaviors rather than mental processes. He is best known for his Little Albert study, which demonstrated that fears can be conditioned through classical conditioning. 6. Sigmund Freud, 1856–1939. Freud developed psychoanalytic theory, which posited that unconscious processes, such as repressed memories and desires, shape human behavior. His work on dream analysis, free association, the structure of personality, stages of development, and defense mechanisms has had a lasting impact on the field of psychology. 7. Stanley Milgram, 1933–1984. Milgram's groundbreaking research on obedience to authority revealed that people are often willing to follow orders, even when doing so conflicts with their moral beliefs. His work also highlighted the importance of ethical considerations in psychological research. 8. Paul Broca, 1824–1880. Broca identified an area in the left frontal lobe of the brain that is crucial for expressive language. This region, now known as Broca's area, is responsible for the production of speech and the ability to articulate thoughts. 9. Carl Wernick, 1848–1905. Wernick discovered an area in the left frontal lobe responsible for receptive language, which is essential for understanding spoken and written language. This region is now known as Wernicke's area. 10. Ivan Pavlov, 1849–1936. Pavlov's research on classical conditioning demonstrated that dogs could be conditioned to salivate in response to a previously neutral stimulus, such as a bell. His work laid the foundation for the study of learning and conditioning in psychology. 11. Edward Thorndike, 1874–1949. Thorndike's research on instrumental learning with cats led him to propose the law of effect, which states that behaviors followed by positive outcomes are more likely to be repeated, while those followed by negative outcomes are less likely to be repeated. This principle has informed the development of operant conditioning theory. 12. B. F. Skinner, 1904–1990. Skinner expanded upon Thorndike's work and developed the theory of operant conditioning. He used rats and pigeons to demonstrate that organisms learn to associate behaviors with consequences, and that behavior can be shaped through reinforcement and punishment. 13. Edward Tolman, 1886–1959. Tolman's research on latent learning demonstrated that learning can occur without immediate reinforcement or direct feedback. He also introduced the concept of cognitive maps, mental representations of spatial relationships that enable navigation and problem-solving. 14. Albert Bandura, 1925–present. Bandura is best known for his work on observational learning, which posits that people learn by watching others' behaviors and the consequences of those behaviors. His famous Bobo doll experiment showed that children imitate aggressive behavior they observe in adults. Bandura also developed the social cognitive theory, which emphasizes the role of cognitive processes in learning. 15. Hermann Ebbinghaus, 1850 to 1909. Ebbinghaus conducted pioneering research on forgetting and memory. He proposed the decay model, which suggests that memories fade over time unless they are actively rehearsed or refreshed. 16. Noam Chomsky, 1928-present. Chomsky is a renowned linguist and cognitive theorist who argued for the inherent existence of sets of cognitive structures that enable language acquisition. He posited that humans have an innate capacity for language, and that certain grammatical structures are universal across languages. 17. Benjamin Lee Wharf, 1897 to 1941. Wharf proposed the linguistic relativity hypothesis, which posits that the structure of a language influences the way its speakers perceive and think about the world. This hypothesis has generated much debate and research on the relationship between language and thought. 18. Washoe, Sarah, and Coco. These apes were involved in groundbreaking language studies that aimed to teach them human language through sign language or other symbolic systems. Their abilities have provided insights into the cognitive capacities of non-human primates and the nature of language. 19. Carl Jung, 1875 to 1961. A prominent psychoanalyst and contemporary of Freud, Jung developed the concept of the collective unconscious, a shared reservoir of archetypal symbols and images that influence human behavior. He also proposed the idea of psychological archetypes, universal patterns that shape human experience and behavior.